We are so happy and so grateful to be here with you all on this fine and glorious a day indeed. We are here, we are here, we are here. We are the Divine Council of Nine, a group of higher dimensional beings that will have been observing humanity for thousands of years, even before humanity incarnated in human form. We chose to be here to assist humanity in remembering who they are, why they're here, and what they came here to do. We bring forward activations and codes within the vibration and the frequency of the message to support you on your journey thus far. We recommend you sit back, breathe, and receive, and allow the codes and activations to integrate within you. Whether you have listened to previous messages or none at all, you are exactly where you are supposed to be. We will start off with humanity is beginning to regain the hidden knowledge that has been lost for so long. Beginning to regain that knowledge within, that connection within, which innately has all the insights, information, untold stories, your past lives, the hidden knowledge that, in fact, has been suppressed, lost, and lost for no more. See, dear ones, the fact is that nothing can ever be lost permanently, as every single thing is energy. And every single thing is at a frequency and a vibration. And it can always be revealed. It can always be accessed. And so many of you, on a large scale, a big percentage, are realizing that you have the ability to access this information anytime you wish, anytime you desire. So if it has to do with the fact that so many of you are waiting for documentations of different things from different organizations, we'll say, you don't have to wait for them to put out a list or put out information. You have access to this information just as anyone else does on this planet. Even if you don't physically have the paperwork with ink on it, you can visually see it. You can visually access it. This is what humanity is realizing on a large scale. There's no need to wait and get frustrated that why are they holding up this information when each and every one of you have access to this anytime you wish, anytime you desire. It is available. It is always available and always has been available. So many of you are getting impatient and frustrated as to why things are taking so long to be released, when in fact you don't need to wait for it to be released, as you have the access to it anytime, anywhere. It is just energetics. It is energetic. And it's stored in a library called the Akashic Records, that you can, in fact, access. This is becoming more of a anomaly, a what you would call a household name, that more and more are understanding, are are realizing that they can to access anything at any time. We felt the need and call to, well, remind humanity fact, of this fact that you have it available to you. There's no need to wait. Now, granted, there is certain events that, yes, you can in fact remote view or access in the Akashic Records, yet um, you will in fact most likely see the visuals of the timeline that you're attempting to access, but there's no guarantee when and if humanity will step on that timeline, or what the time frame is, because there is no time and space where we are. So we don't, in fact, give dates. Uh, we don't, in fact, give predictions, and we will state, as we have previously, what is a potentiality of what could unfold, dependent on the choices humanity decides to make. Again, this is why so many have predicted a certain time frame for a certain event, and then that certain event doesn't happen, because there's a strong potentiality that humanity chose something different. Remember, it has to do with, in fact, a collective choice. So it's essentially the bigger percentage that shifts the decision as to which timeline humanity chooses at what point. That is done by the majority. The majority. This is why so many have stepped back from giving a specific time frame or a specific time of the year, due to the fact that things are accelerating so quickly, so fast, ramping up, and humanity is making different choices as the whole of the collective wakes up. It is becoming not volatile, but something very similar to that word. The pendulum continues to swing as humanity continues to make different choices to then shift what could have happened or what could possibly happen. Now, that doesn't mean that, again, some big event that is spoken of can change as well, where it in fact doesn't even happen any longer, dependent on the choices humanity chooses to make. It's not only done by each individual soul in a human body, it is done also on a collective level because there is collective timelines as well as individual timelines. So each and every one of you have an individual timeline as well as the collective timelines. We understand that this could be a bit confusing. Remember that this message is, in fact, filled with activations and codes within the vibration and frequency of the message, which will support you in, well, having a better understanding of what we are speaking of. Again, as we have said in previous messages, the words are not as important as the frequency and vibration of the message that withhold the activations and codes, which is what is more important as it is integrating and speaking with your cells and your different layers of your body, mind, and soul. So, in fact, the words are not as important. They're more so to give your human, your ego, something to do while we activate the codes within you. Yet, it can be helpful to understand and to have a better understanding of what is happening, to understand timelines and what they actually mean and how they work individually and collectively. So this is just a little nugget that we have provided for you to take your consciousness to another level, to expand your mind, to open yourself up to infinite possibilities, that anything, and we mean and we emphasize anything, is possible. So we are sure that you have heard things regarding timelines before, which of course opened you up to then find this message, which took you a little deeper into the timeline reality. What timelines are all about, how they work, what is happening with humanity individually and collectively, why so many predictions potentially don't come true, and to not have an expectation or not hold this I'm not listening to you any longer because the thing you predicted didn't even happen, especially not at the time frame that you had predicted it. Again, that is because of the rapid speed that things are moving at. Many, many years ago, when psychics would predict things, it was extremely different due to the fact that things were moving a lot slower than they actually are now, which is a game changer, because what one says can change in an instant, dependent on the collective choices, dependent on the individual choices that humanity makes. So it's, as we said, based on an individual choice and a collective choice. And as for the collective choice, it doesn't have to be all 8 billion people for things to teeter back and forth, to pendulum back and forth, to switch timelines. It doesn't take the entire human race. There's a certain percentage which will shift the collective into another timeline. So, this is exactly why we have spoken about frequency and vibration and keeping your frequency and vibration high, your light bright. We will, in fact, go into timelines deeper and more depth. This is just scratching the surface for so many of you that, well, wanted to know or have a better understanding with timelines and how they work and what is happening and why certain things are not occurring when most, if not a large percentage, are speaking of an event and then it either is delayed or doesn't happen at all. And that all has to do with the choices that humanity makes individually and collectively. That is dependent on when and if and how something occurs. Again, we will go in more depth in another video. Give yourself a chance to integrate what we have said so that you can be open and receptive to receiving more insights and understandings on a deeper level. With that being said, we love you, we love you, and we love you. With that, for now, we feel complete, and so it is.